Drop your individual little agendas for one day. We are losing at home to Southampton. I don't give a shit. You haven't heard me name one, bro. I can't be bothered, bro. Please don't waste your super chats on shit like this. You think I can't see this? You think I can't see? Did I play? Am I playing? Am I playing? You're talking to the wrong guy. You need to go to a different channel. Did I say he should play this game? Did I say he should play? Are you asking me? Me of all people, the person that's taken him out of every lineup for the last 6 weeks. You're talking to me. Me! You're talking to me?
Yo people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for your weekly roundabout episode, but not your weekly roundup of all the sporting events of the week, because this is a Chelsea special. Apologies, it is late. This is greatness. It is literally late, and it's late time wise. I should have put this out yesterday, but I had a Chelsea hangover, and I think you all understand why and how that took place. I mean, literally, I think Sunday was literally a day of rest. It was a lash with the lads at the local. It felt like we were hungover. It felt like we were battered and bruised. It felt like we were, on the biggest booze cruise ever. It felt like we had been drunk like a skunk. It was awful. That performance and that result against Southampton was honestly gut-wrenching. It really was. And I'm still, to be honest, shaken to my core about it, because it really genuinely hit home just what a tough situation we are in as a football club. We are shaken, not stirred. We are seriously, I mean, when you lose at home to a managerless bottom of the league Southampton, you can only expect carnage. You can only expect chaos, confusion. And that's exactly what we got. Because I stood on this very step last week on this very show, and I said, I, in my own personal situation, am trying to be calm and composed and call for some stability, because I don't want to have a revolving door of managers. I don't like to see our instability continue from the Roman era through to this one, purely because we can see towards the back end of the Roman era that the constant hiring and firing of managers have led to two things. One, less trophies at the top level in terms of Premier League titles, less opportunities and hits at the Champions League, as we saw we didn't qualify for a semi-final place since 13-14 up until when Tuchel won it, which is a 7-8 year gap, which is not good. That's not a team that is functioning at the top end of football on a consistent basis. So that model was expiring greatly, and I think we can all agree on that. But this is why I said last week I cannot be annoyed or I cannot be angry with anybody who doesn't have the patience that I had last week, or doesn't have the belief, or doesn't have the trust. And my trust was kind of broken a little bit against Southampton, because it was a shambolic result, shambolic performance, and it's pretty unacceptable and inexcusable. And I don't think anybody can try and pretend that it is. We lost at home to a managerless team that are bottom of the league, statistically the easiest fixture we could have possibly had this season, and we lost. And manager, by definition, means managing situations. It means that you need to sometimes win matches even though you're not at your full capacity. You don't have the pre-season that I want you to have. You don't have the full first season that I want you to have. You haven't had the time maybe to integrate all of these players to your full capacity in terms of these young players that you're developing that have come from different countries and different leagues and have frailties and inconsistencies in their game, whether it be Mudryk failing to track back or a Madueke failed pass. And it's why that I haven't tried to shove top four down people's throats in terms of we expect this, we will do this, because at the end of the day, no matter how much money you spend, the context is that these players, apart from, for me, Felix and Enzo, are unproven, untested and untried at this level, with a team that is already in disarray, with a new manager that has already not shown as of yet that he can do it at the top level, but has shown potential at Brighton. And if we're to go all the way back to the beginning, we are to talk about Graham Potter and how this situation started. He was hired 24 hours, it felt like, after Tuchel was sacked. I didn't even have time to put out a Tuchel, farewell video, because by the time I had done that, Potter had already been hired. We didn't even have an opportunity to discuss who we wanted next, because it happened so fast. And I think he was kind of just pushed into us, you know. We kind of just saw him and here he is, and that's it. You have to get behind him, as you do with any new face that enters the football club. But nobody knew as of yet whether this manager was ready for this opportunity, whether this manager was, you know, going to actually be able to lead this level of project. Because yes, at Östersunds he done a brilliant job. At Brighton he did a very good job. At Swansea he did a very good job, and he's a good coach. I maintain that he is a good coach and he has potential. He has shown that he has potential, but usually the step, you would say, maybe from a Brighton is to a Tottenham and then to a Chelsea, similar to Poch, Southampton to a Tottenham to a PSG. So this is a bit of a big step up. And the question was always, will he be able to handle the situation? And nobody as of yet can sit very comfortably and say that this guy is 100% going to be the right guy for us, in terms of, is he going to cap off where? Is he going to take us to a title? Is he going to take us to top 4? Is he going to develop young players and provide a progressive, you know, pleasing on the eye system? And then are we going to have to replace him with an elite manager? All of these things I am more than willing to accept and handle if that is what it comes to. You know, if he overhauls the squad and manages to put us in a position of health, and then we go again with someone of the elite level if he's not that. But when you lose to Southampton at home, you lose a lot of trust. We've seen a lot of the fan base have flipped over. You even made me say and ask you please kindly to resign, which is the only way he would actually leave, because we cannot afford to sack him. And I don't believe that Potter out or sacking him is necessarily all of our problems gone, because we know that, for me, I know that this is bigger than Potter. It's not just about Potter, it's about the fact that we have 35 players. It's about the fact that we, you know, decided to hire him in the first place with 5 years on his contract. Like I said, he's unsackable, and they have come out and said in their debriefs and, you know, through their reports that they are staying with him, and that's understandable. You're not going to maybe sack someone that you've given a 5-year contract a couple of weeks after a transfer window closes. That would look ludicrous, especially if you do that twice in a row. But he's on 60 million and he's on 12 million a year, and he's been given a massive release clause of 22 million as well from Brighton. So in total, 80 million plus is what he's cost, plus his backroom staff. But there has to be a cut-off point. For some people it's now. For some people it is the Southampton game, which I literally understand you completely, and it is inexcusable. And for the board it seems to be a relegation battle. Now, listen, you could say that you're being dramatic, you're not going to get relegated, and that's fair enough. But Chelsea, even if they were to finish on 47, 48 points in 15th, that is unacceptable. And it doesn't matter what the context is in terms of how difficult the job is, you should not be performing at that point in the table. And if we are to continue to keep saying that, you know, every single game, there are always going to be reasons as to why we couldn't win, whether it's XG, whether it's, you know, missed chances, whether it's, well, then we could lose every game until the end of the season, and there's nothing to it, because at the end of the day, we had to integrate all of these young players, right? So who cares if we lose every single game up until the end of the season? There's always going to be some sort of reasoning as to why we couldn't win that game. That's not the case. That's not how football works. You do need to pick up results in a P word, in a process, project, or whatever you want to call it, which I hate these words, but here we are. You have to show points of improvement. You have to show points of, you know, progress. You have to show why people should continue to trust. You should show, and that should speak volumes in not only style of play, not only in, you know, pressing, whether it's you're looking to do good build-up or, you know, recycle the ball. You need to show something, and we didn't show any of that against Southampton. But in the previous 2 games before that, we could have clutched the positives against Dortmund and West Ham. But if you keep losing games, your position will become untenable. And as much as people will be annoyed, if you are annoyed that some people are losing faith or that they're not completely on side, which I think is perfectly understandable. Like I've said, this manager has no CV at the top level. So this is a new situation for him. And as much as he backs himself, which is great, and says that he's ready for the job and right for the job, we don't know what will actually happen until we find out. And we are going to find out. And nobody has a crystal ball. But if we continue to lose in the next couple of weeks, and we are too close to that battle that I spoke about, which is the relegation battle, regardless of whether you think we're going to get relegated or not, the assumption that we're going to pick up points is an assumption that you can't make at a certain point, because you have to pick up points, and if you don't, then we have to do something about it. But I don't like Potter out for the sheer fact that it means that it sounds like it's all his fault. I don't believe it's all his fault. I think the players have to take responsibility. I think the players in matches where they didn't take their chances, I think we've seen that before with Tuchel. I think we've seen managers set up systems and then we've created some chances, or maybe you could feel better quality chances need to be created. Low XG chances, you may feel too many long shots or tight angles, but we've created chances, sometimes clear-cut chances that haven't been taken. Actually, in Southampton, you could say we could have scored some. And that's not something that's new. We've had issues with our attack for donkey's years, and we've brought in now attackers that help our chance creation, but finishing-wise, none of them have a goal output on their CV to say that we should rely upon them in terms of goal scoring. So Potter out sounds like it's all his fault. And I think a lot of people, that's where the confliction comes, because I stand here and say, like I said, from a normal ideal standpoint, I would like a manager to get a pre-season. I'd like a manager to get a full season. I would like a manager to have an opportunity to implement these 9 new signings, which is very difficult to do for more than just a handful of games. But the confliction comes because we have to win some football matches. You must win some games. You cannot lose at home to Southampton. That is unacceptable. That is inexcusable. I don't care what's going on, to be honest. When you're at this football club with the players that you do have at your disposal, you have to find wins somewhere. Now, the question is, does Potter continue to try and put together his system, which is long term, if that actually gets him results, because you need results? Because if you don't, like I just said, you're going to find yourself in a different conversation, which is a very, very bad one for any manager, regardless of what's going on. We should never be talking about relegation at this football club, especially with the amount of money that we've spent and the amount of players we brought in, regardless of the fact that it's going to be difficult to implement them. So you have to pick up points, and you have to do that by any means necessary. And that's where decisions like not bringing on Thabz for Fofana, or not having Aubameyang on the bench, and not playing Trevor Chalobah ahead of Azpilicueta at the weekend, even with all of the medical advice of resting and taking out those other players that we mentioned in Silva and James, which is fine, very understandable in the end. But you have to win games. You have to win football matches. And especially when everybody says it as well, there is no love there, there is no loyalty, there is no connection, because he has not yet achieved anything. He has not yet actually won enough matches, and he's not yet shown in a character standpoint, charisma standpoint, that there's anything to really latch onto or listen to. So he's fighting an uphill battle, 100%. And some of the quotes that came out after the last game were crazy in terms of they prepared, but then we hear they actually didn't actually have much time to prepare, things like that. But I guess the point of the video is to once again reinstate the fact that whatever side you're on or wherever you're at, and you don't even need to be on a side, I keep saying it, this in-out thing is very subsurface level. I think it's very cut and dry, and I don't think it's as black and white as that. I think at the end of the day, we all want Chelsea to win matches. We all want to beat Spurs. We all know that this is not an easy situation to manage. It's not an easy situation to deal with currently, with what we're dealing with, which is an excess of a whole heap of players that need integrating all at the same time, and you need results. I mean, to do what we did in January is basically what you would do in the summer, and to do it mid-season and immediately have to integrate it, you'd think we'd have a pre-season, but we don't. Every game is competitive, every game is very serious. That is the truth of the fact. But we have to win games. We have to start winning games. So whatever position you're in, just know that it's understandable. Just know that it's your perspective. Just know that you don't need to feel like because you want Potter to leave, it means you don't want a long-term project, because no one said it had to be with him. No one said that he is going to 100% make it. And the desperateness for a long-term project, because it's something that we need, and it's maybe something that we haven't had, and it's something that is the only way we're going to get back to compete at the top, doesn't mean that there is no ceiling. There is no floor. There is no floor to what he can do this season. It does not mean that you can lose every single game because we need a long-term project. It does not mean that because you're on such a massive contract that you can get us sitting in 15th potentially in a couple of weeks' time or a month's time. You have to start getting results. But if you continue to have the faith and you continue to believe, or you see something in him from the Dortmund and the West Ham game that tells you that this will get better, and once we put out a team that is more similar to those matches, we will pick up some results. We have quality players. He is a good coach, in my opinion, and I don't think anybody should be, or I'm not going to be rubbing out what he did at Brighton and diminishing it too much to try and make a point that he has no credentials or he's clueless, because he's not. No manager does what he does at Ostersund's or at Brighton and is clueless. But we need to see it here. We need to see it here. We need to see some results now. We need to see some wins. And I think everybody knows that, because if we don't see some wins in the next couple of games, he is going to be in some serious... I mean, he's already in serious crap. You're going to be in some serious crap. So, if you see light at the end of the tunnel, fair play. If you don't, fair play. And if you don't know, and you're just biding your time, fair play. Because you can do that. You can definitely do that. There are too many unknown quantities currently going on with him, with the team, with the results being so poor, with the ownership backing him so heavily, but knowing that that same ownership has made mistakes months prior in that summer window, that they would probably admit that they, some of the signings or, some of the wages that they handed out weren't the best moves. They've already taken a couple L's. They're learning on the job. The recruitment team is now here in January. We've seen the improvement in the recruitment there. We've seen what it does to have a scattergun window with no networking done, which is again what happens when you come in to a bidding process that is, very competitive, and you get the club right before a transfer window. And we've seen the difference in a January window where we've got people that actually know about the sport, and they know what they're looking for in terms of player profile, Badiashile and etc. We've seen improvements. We've seen a lot of change. And we're going to see what happens next. As simple as that. Nobody wants hiring and firing. Well, a lot of people, I don't think many people do want that. I don't think anybody, I genuinely don't think anybody wants to see us hiring and firing managers every year. I don't think anybody wants to see that. But we must win football matches. It's as simple as that, people. So, we shall see what happens. Until next time, make sure you smash up the likes, comment down below, let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you on the next video. In a bit, people. Peace.